The Experience Pros Radio Show, home of the original Fan Braggin' Fridays. Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a fan bragging story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Braggin' hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. Angel Tussey, Eric Kramer, helping you get your business right. Boy, we are in some interesting times politically, socially, and economically as well. Did you hear about the Koreas holding hands and singing Kumbaya?
Well, I don't know if they're singing Kumbaya, but they do seem to be working together a little bit. How about this? After years of tension between North and South Korea, things appear to be thawing thanks to the ice.
The ice.
Right? The South Korean women's ice hockey team. And they actually agreed last week to create a joint venture. They're actually in the 2018 Winter Olympics. They're going to actually, both North and South Korea will march together under one flag during the Olympic Games. First time unified for the two countries, I guess, since 1991 when they actually came together for an international table tennis championship and a youth soccer match. So why are there new hopes in cooperation? Well, our expert guest is Mark Galashevsky. He is with Elliott Wave Internationals, ElliottWave.com. He's their chief strategist for Asia and emerging markets. And he says this kind of a contributor is the shift towards positive social mood. And of course, a little bit with their soaring stock market right now.
Interesting.
I know it is actually very interesting, and so excited to have Mark Galashevsky on the line with us. Mark, welcome to the Experience Pros Radio Show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Mark, nice to have you on the program. Isn't that Kim Jong-un? He's gonna kill us all, anyways, isn't he?
That's not what he promised this morning.
Okay.
Thank you for that introduction. You introduced the topic very well, and I'll add to that just today, the headlines are, I'm reading, this is North Korea calls for unification with South Korea. As their ice hockey players arrive in the South, Pyongyang promises to smash all challenges to Korean reunification. So he's even upping the game. Implying that reunification is possible.
Okay, so let's just say that they do. Let's just say they reunite, right? Is Kim Jong-un and his government aware of the fact that there is a long-standing positive relationship with the United States of America on the South?
It's an incredible. I mean, that's
because that's the elephant in the room, isn't it, Mark?
Exactly. And I think the Chinese might actually have an opinion about this question as well.
Sure.
I mean, the last time that the United States tried to push its troops all the way to the Chinese border up in what is now North Korea, the Chinese pushed back, and they pushed the Americans all the way back to the 38th parallel, what's now the demilitarized zone. So, I think there's a lot of factors there that are really beyond the ability of forecasters to predict. Forecasters like myself even. But what I can say about this issue is that I think that there definitely has been an opening up. There's been a loosening up, certainly compared to the past 2 years. It was just 2 years ago that North Korea exploded a hydrogen bomb in January 2016. And I'll add that bomb explosion perfectly encapsulated the mood, the social mood in Asia, certainly, and in Korea as well, toward the end of a 5-year bear market. A lot of your listeners are probably familiar with international stocks, the emerging markets group,
sure.
With the developing nations, as they're also known, experienced a 5-year bear market from 2011 to 2015. And I think many of your listeners have probably heard of the term that the time to buy is when blood is running in the streets. That phrase has applied for centuries, and it's still valid today. And that bomb, the hydrogen bomb in January 2016, was the buy signal. And we saw the markets climb a wall of worry for the next 2 years. I think the most recent rocket or missile test was in December of last year, just a month ago. And suddenly now everything's changed. Isn't that amazing how quickly things can change?
And so yeah, so I mean, that was so recent. And now here we are with a whole different mood. What shifted?
Donald
Exactly.
Trump.
And so what I'd like to introduce your listeners to the concept of what we at Elliott Wave International and the Socionomics Institute call the social mood, the concept of social mood. And that is this, that the major social events that any society undergoes are really are generally their tenor and tone is determined by whether the social mood in a country, a nation, that is the aggregate level of confidence and optimism versus pessimism, is rising or falling. And in this case, as I was just drawing a picture, that we had this crisis basically in emerging markets that ended in January 2016, and then guess what's happened since then? This massive boom that has taken off in Asia, in particular. Certainly your American listeners are aware of what's happening in their 401ks. Well, in Asia, the average emerging market stock is up by more than 80% over the past 2 years. And it is no coincidence that this positive event coming out of the Koreas is happening, after that rise. Now, so that's what we think is going on.
Mark, I don't even pretend to know a lot about the political and economic elements of either of the Koreas or the Asian markets in general. However, is it not true that we are still enforcing many sanctions on the Republic of North Korea? And I don't even know if that's what they call them, but the North Koreans. And how are they taking advantage of the overall economic boom that you're describing?
Actually, up until the sanctions were imposed, there are reports that North Korea was doing quite well, and of course, it was loosening up. For example, becoming more of a market economy, and a lot of that was out of necessity. The fact is that the state corporations were no longer providing the needs of the people, and so people took it into their own hands to trade with themselves and to trade with the outside. So actually, North Korea was participating, of course, at a much lesser degree than the Chinas and the South Koreas around them, but it was participating in the boom. And certainly, Kim Jong-un he's got access to the internet. He's aware of what's going on in the outside world. So he's very much tapped into that common mood in Asia, which has been absolutely booming. And even in the West, we've had quite a boom going on so far for several years.
All right, Mark, you're with Elliott Wave. You've also written a book, Socioeconomic Casualty in Politics, which is a #1 Amazon new release in behavioral psychology. Tell our listeners how they can stay more connected to you, to your company, and maybe even what's going on, where we think this might go in the future.
Right.
Right. Well, I work for a company called Elliott Wave International. That's Elliott Wave, 2 L's in Elliott, and 2 T's at the end. Wave as in oceanwave.com. So elliottwave.com. If you visit there, you can learn a lot about the perspective of technical analysis and financial markets. And you can even subscribe to one of my publications, the Asian Pacific Financial Forecast or Global Market Perspective, where you will find what we do is we provide our subscribers, our customers, opportunities. We alert them to changes in trend in financial markets, commodities, stocks, bonds, and currencies, and we'll help you to find opportunities within any of those asset classes.
This is fascinating, Mark, and as we have just about a minute and a half here left with you, what is if you had the crystal ball, what do you see in the future? Are we going to reconcile the Koreas and then subsequently heal the wounds of long gone times, or will China cause issues with Korea making nice?
Well, I think that when you hear the word reunification, the first word that probably comes into everyone's mind is the Germanys in 89, 90. And our perspective on that event is that it occurred, the reunification of Germany occurred in the middle of a multi-decade bull market. And I am a forecaster, and that is exactly what I am forecasting for Asia, and certainly for the South Korean stock market, which is a good measure of what's going on in North Korea. So I think there's a lot of opportunities ahead. Whether this is going to be a repeat of the 89-90 German reunification, I can't say. But certainly the social mood is rising. It's positive like it was in the late 1980s. And let's hope for the best. But it's very difficult to predict fundamentals. However, in terms of prices, I think there's a lot of opportunities in Asian stock markets and will be for the next several years.
There you go.
Mark Galashevsky with Elliott Wave, ElliottWave.com. Mark, thanks so much for being with us today and being our expert on this. It's something I think for all of us to keep our eye on. It's fascinating.
Yeah. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We will return with more positive business talk right after these messages. Angel Tussey, Eric Kramer. This is the Experience Pros Radio Network.